Greetings, bienvenue, come on in, sit on down. This week I got the incredible opportunity to talk to the wonderful creator Libris, also known on YouTube as Umbreon Libris, because I get a lot of questions about how to start a region or build a Pokédex, and while I have some knowledge, the conversation that I got to have with Libris really changed not just my understanding of how that whole construction works, but the ideology that goes behind building and starting a region in the first place. It's really insightful, really impactful, and I'm really glad that you guys get to take part in it. So let's hop on over to that call. Hello, welcome back to Stern Conversations. Today I am treated to the wonderful and talented Libris. How's it going?
I'm doing all right, still trying to wrap my head around how much work I need to do to complete my project that we will be talking about. Yes. But otherwise doing okay, and you know, partly looking forward to the work and partly not. But
Right. I mean, we were talking for a moment about this just a moment ago, how it's like, you know, you get off work, you get off doing what you got to do, and then you're like, all right, time to work on the project, and you try so hard to be like, don't let it feel like work, don't let it feel like work, don't let it feel like work. Mm-hmm. Right?
For sure. Yeah, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but for me, the like video editing part of doing videos is like is the part that I like the least. And so, you know, if I had a bigger channel and got enough income from it and all of that, I would pass off the editing part to someone else every single time. I can't do that.
Really? I don't know. It's just the way that creative minds work differently, I guess, is I'm the exact opposite. Like, I draw and I'm like, all right, I've got to get this drawing done. It makes sense that this would have an evolution. Makes sense that I do this. Okay, now I got to work on that. And then, like, when it's time to edit the video, I'm like, I can just sit back and think what would be funny to go here, what would be... But I guess my stuff is a little bit more comedy skewed. Yours is more research-oriented and deep dive type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and I think for me, and this is with all kinds of projects, not just with video, I enjoy coming up with the ideas and like doing the thinking behind it. And so, you know, even like the sketching and like figuring out what that mon is going to look like, that kind of the ideation process is where I really thrive. Mm-hmm. When it comes to like executing, I'm not interested in that anymore. I want to go think about something else.
You're like, oh, the fun part's over. I want to.
Exactly.
I came here to draw cute little monsters. You know. But,
yeah.
So
having to like sit down and render, like even if I'm doing something that's a little bit more free than, you know, following strictly like the Sugimori style. I don't want to render. I don't want to think about this Pokemon anymore. I want to move on to something else.
It's that wonderful creative like ADHD that we have of like, I want to do the next thing now. You have a project that you're working on, and I do want to ask about that. But
yes,
first I want to ask about this thing. Earlier this year, you made a big change in your life. You got yourself your first tattoo. And you talked about your level of indecisiveness regarding the idea.
Yep.
We're 5 months out from that. And as a tattooed man myself, I am curious what your thoughts are now 5 months later regarding the tattoo, the possibility of more, things of that nature.
Yeah, everyone is asking me, when am I going to get the next one? Okay, so I guess... I don't want to, you know, badmouth my tattoo artist or anything like that, but I'm a little bit ambivalent about how it turned out. The reason I was indecisive was because I could never really like settle on what the right idea was. And so at some point last year, I came up with this idea of getting Suicune because not only is it like the cover Pokemon of my favorite game, but it also has these themes of being like a nature protector, and like, so those are things that resonate with me. And so I was like, okay, I can do Suicune. Now I have to like think of who the artist is going to be, and so that like, what is the tattoo going to look like? And I found someone whose work I really, really liked. And so when I went and like talked with him about it. We did kind of a consultation kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I got the impression that he, got the idea of what I was looking for. But then when I arrive at the appointment, and I didn't actually get to see the tattoo ahead of time, it was like, we talk about it, we do the consultation, the design, like aside from like minor changes that we can talk about the day of, is what he comes up with. And I was totally okay with that, like happy to kind of, I wanted to have someone else's art, right? I didn't want to like draw my own tattoo.
Right? Did you feel like that was a little like self-serving to draw your own tattoo?
Not self-serving exactly, but I think I am more, what's the word? I'm more generous to other people's art than I am to my own. If I drew my own tattoo, there's a good chance that, 5 months down the line, a year down the line, that I would be like, I should have done that differently.
Oh, yes. Styles change, and you look and you're like, kind of, it's like looking back at your old art from 5 years ago. You're like, oh man, I'm so much different now. Yeah,
or just like, oh, if only I had waited another year, the tattoo could have been even better.
That's a good point. Wow, I'm rethinking my tattoo. I designed all of my own tattoos, so that's why I'm like, oh, I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's so many like really, really talented tattoo artists out there with like really unique styles. So I wanted to have, just like I have other people's art on my walls, I wanted to have other people's art on my skin.
Wonderful.
So anyway, we do the consultation, and I feel like we're on the same page. And when I go to the actual appointment, I'm not. What I see doesn't really match what stylistically what I was describing. So I kind of had to like talk him through, like, oh, I was thinking more like this, and he did all of those changes, and so I'm happy with the tattoo for what it is. But I also at the same time feel like if the final design had been what he showed me at the beginning of the appointment, I probably would have still had changes.
Right. Well, it's like that. It's that give and take of like your stuff, where it's like you have very clearly in your mind what you want, but you're also like, I would like to get another artist's take, and what they make may be beautiful, may be wonderful, may be amazing, but it's never going to be exactly what you saw in your head. Is that fair to say? Do you get people who look at the Suicune tattoo and go, great, when are you getting the other two? And then you have to explain to them their reasoning?
That question specifically about the other two, no. But basically every time that I've told someone, oh, I got a tattoo recently, there's the question, oh, are you going to get another one? And the answer is, I don't know. It took me 20 years to decide on the first one. Like,
that's a good point. Especially when you're a person who, who appreciates art and appreciates what it is. We have very high standards of art, and the idea of permanence with art, I think, is especially scary for people like you and I. And so tattoos, I think, can be scary. I follow a creed that my dad set, because he was a very professional man, and he said he's covered in tattoos, but they're never anywhere that anyone could see if he was wearing like a button-up shirt, a button-up sleeved shirt or a short sleeve shirt. Yeah. So there have been instances where like we'd go to like the pool with like friends or something, and he'd like whip off his shirt, and they'd go, "Whoa!" It's like, yeah, covered in. He looks like a Yakuza member. But but yeah, that was my curiosity, because you started your YouTube channel about 7 years ago. Good God. Yeah. Does it feel that long?
I mean, it feels like I've been doing it forever, but at the same time, when I think 7 years feels like a really long time, and yeah.
I was scrolling through your stuff, and I was like, all right, let's see the bottom. Let's keep going. Where is the bottom? Where's the oldest video?
Yeah, I think probably my first video is still available. I'm not really in the habit of unlisting videos that I don't like. There are a couple of videos that I'm like, that's... I probably didn't express myself as well as I could have in that video, but like it's part of my journey, and so I'll leave it up. And I think the only videos that I've unlisted are like, I did I did Let's Plays for a while, and so I unlisted the individual videos but left the playlist up if someone really wants to find it. It's just like decluttering, but not really like taking them away. So yeah, like there's a lot of videos, and nowadays I'm making like 3 videos a year. But I started doing 1 a week and stayed that way for the first like 5 years. Except in the height of COVID when I was doing 2 a week because I didn't have a job. So
Oof, yeah.
Yeah.
Boy does history and apparently plague affect the running of the world. But the reason that I bring up that you've been doing this for 7 years, and the reason I bring up that like you're an insanely talented creator, and I will gush over that later with other questions that I have. But what I want to ask about is, over your 7 years, you have started this project that I have wanted to hear more about. I specifically was like, this sounds cool. I know a little bit about it from passing and seeing the videos and stuff, but I thought I'm not going to research into it because I want to hear from the words from the human themselves. What is this project that you're working on? Tell me what you can about it. Tell us what's going on.
Okay, so the real basics of it is that I'm coming up with a Pokemon region. The height of coming up with Pokemon regions is long past, and so of course now is the best time for me to do it. But like specifically, or maybe less specifically, more abstractly, I think my viewers know that I'm interested in I'm interested in exploring connections between the real world and the Pokemon world, right? And especially for the past maybe 3 years or so, I've been doing a lot of more, I guess what you could call progressive topics on my channel. And since the start of COVID, like really, like socially things changed a lot since the start of COVID, and certainly my kind of political awareness changed a lot. And whereas in the past I probably would not have given myself any real like label, I'm still a little bit like wary about labels, but I think you can I think it would be accurate to call me a socialist at least. There's a lot of things about anarchism and like more radical perspectives that I really like. And so I've been thinking about like, how do I approach these topics on my channel, in part because like there are things I'm interested in, so that's what I want to put out on my channel. But also like Pokemon is a fairly progressive world. Like the Pokemon world has a lot of things that we recognize as progressive, even though they're not always explicitly discussed. And so, you know, I have to like find a way to like draw that out and show that these things are there. But what I guess what really kind of triggered it was the announcement of Pokemon Legends ZA. Sorry, ZA.
I wasn't even gonna bat an eye. My camera's not on, so no one saw me do the. Oh, okay, but sure, yeah. The original announcement was like really talked about like urban revitalization, and because we knew from the beginning that it was like taking place in Lumio City, you know, it made me think of the modern revitalization of Paris, and there's a lot of like adding more greenery, making the streets more pedestrian friendly, more bicycle friendly, being less car centric, all stuff that I'm like fully on board with. And I wanted to see like what is the Pokemon world version of that we're gonna get. But then the more trailers that we got for the game, the more I was like, okay, that's not really the direction they're gonna go in. So what would I do? And so that's where I started to think about, okay, like if I want to use the Pokemon world to talk about not just progressive, but radical
values and visions for society, how can I do that? And so ultimately I landed on this project of making a Pokemon region that is not, it doesn't follow the like molds of Pokemon regions. It, has some of that, but the whole idea is to show a completely different, completely unique way of organizing society, but doing that in the context of Pokemon, because that's how I understand the world, right? Like I grew up with Pokemon, so Pokemon is like literally the lens through which I understand the world around me. And so it makes it easier for me to think about things in that framework and to express that to other people. But then also, of course, because that's what my channel is.
Right. Well, it's like you're using the structure of Pokemon I think framework isn't the proper term. You're using it as a skeleton, and the idea of a skeleton is that you put meat on it. You cover it, but it provides a structure, and that's it feels kind of like that's what you're doing. Because I see all the little differences, and it does definitely still feel like Pokemon. But it feels like kind of like when we were first introduced to Legends Arceus, where it's like, this is Pokemon, very different, but still it's got that Pokemon, like you said, like a lens to it. And I think with your project and your region that you're working on, I get people very often, and maybe you do too, in comments and in different audience encounter type stuff, say like, oh, I want to make a Pokemon region. And then it's like, where do I get started? What Pokemon do I draw? But it sounds like for you have the same idea of, if you're starting with, here's the Pokemon, you are very much putting a cart before a horse. Because it sounds like you have a lot of values and thought process and reasoning, the who, what, when, where, and why behind the game first. Can you tell me a little bit about the process that went from, I want to make a Pokemon region, to structuring out to what you have currently?
Well, the process is actually probably the most interesting thing about it, because anarchism, anarcho-socialism, social ecology, however you want to frame it, one of the like most important things is community, right? It's like, you don't have a hierarchy, so you don't have like a person at the top who is making decisions and enforcing those decisions to everyone below. And so like, if I'm going to do a Pokemon region project that embodies those values, I can't really just do it all myself and be like, I am the author of this project. Because like, it's not really about me. And so I invited a whole bunch of friends, people that I know have kind of similar values and interests as I do. And even though I did a whole bunch of the research into like, how does this work in the real world, and what are the most important values that I want to communicate, and that kind of stuff, to maybe in that case you can call it a framework. I had to like, okay, these are the parameters that I want to meet. But then all of us together did the world building. All of us together came up with the characters. So it was actually a significant portion of it was done through basically a role-playing game, like a D&D.
Interesting. So you lived out parts of the experience.
Yeah. So like, rather than me coming up with like, oh, who would be the gym leader for for this town, I basically like asked all of these friends to just come up with a character, and I kind of came up with like, oh, we need to have like these roles. Like we need to have someone who is like welcoming, like the person who's in charge of the welcome committee of like, bringing people in. We need to have someone who is kind of looking after these kids who are going on their journey, these 10-year-old kids who are venturing out into the wilds. We need to have someone who's kind of responsible for kind of keeping an eye on them. So there was all these roles, and we kind of distributed them, but we did it by just our interests and who wanted to do what. And So like the characters in the end, I personally came up with 3 characters, 2 of which were like, you know, they were the characters that I wanted to play, and one was just like, okay, no one else took this role, but we really need it, so I'm going to fill that one. Everything else, I had no part in making that character. And so then we came together over 8 sessions where we did just role playing. And so as far as like the story, for example, I didn't come up with a story. Even my friends who were kind of aware of how the process was going, they would ask me, okay, so I don't know what you have planned for this. And I would say, I don't have plans.
Any D&D session. So where are we going, buddy?
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell you this, but I'm coming up with it as we go along.
I'm not even coming up with it as we go along, really. So my role as the quote unquote DM of those sessions was just to make sure we had one of our players was essentially representing the player character, right? The kid who is, you know, your little avatar,
right.
The avatar for the audience. So my goal is to make sure that character goes to all of the important locations and meets all of the important characters.
Right.
What happens
you're placing,
in that process?
Go ahead.
I don't know.
You're the one placing the shrubs and placing the little drop-offs that says, like, you have options, but eventually you will have to get to this town. You know, there is no death by farming in this system. I don't know if you know that phrase from D&D. My stats are so low that I rolled. My character just became a farmer, and I'm going to go make a new character.
Right. No, yeah, but it was... Yeah, so, you know, if a scene is taking really long, even if it's a good scene and I want to keep it, you know, we only have 3 hours per session, and we have to hit all of these places. Otherwise, we're not going to get to the end of the story. And so it was just like, okay, let's kind of fast forward through this, and so that we can get to the next scene and so on. So like that was a lot of fun, and you know the kind of the next step after that was to take those. It was 8 sessions of 3 hours each, so it was 24 hours worth of role-playing sessions that I'm trying to condense into something that's like understandable. Right. We all want to play Pokemon and that has
forever.
Some kind of emotional arc to it.
Right. We all want to play Pokemon forever, but truly it becomes one of those like demonic torture things at some point of, so you like Pokemon, do you? You know? So you're saying, and I agree with you, I just want to reiterate it for audience and people who listen. There is an inherent value in collaborating with others over a project the size of something like designing a region.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I totally understand the drive to just be like, I want to make this region my way. I'm going to make all of the decisions. It's going to be my baby. I understand that. But like, we know that's not how Game Freak does it.
No, yeah.
Right?
That's a good point.
I don't think you can probably come up with it with individual Fakemon entirely on your own and be like totally happy with it. But to do a whole collection of Fakemon, I don't really see how you can do that without at least getting feedback from other people.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you and I both make content for YouTube and stuff that goes into the public. We get content feedback from people whether we want it or not. So it may,
that's true.
It may be more beneficial to pull in some people who are like, okay, your opinion will shape what's going to happen. Like, I'm going to get, 10, 15, whatever, on a video saying you should have done this, you could have done that, whatever. But getting people who it's like, I want you, I am... You are the one person in the comments who I'm asking the opinion of, and helping me format what I'm doing. Because it's a great point that you bring up. It is something I haven't heard. It's a great point. Just the base principle of that's not how Game Freak does it, and it's like, oh my God, you're right. I'm trying to make a region, or so and so's trying to make a region, or a friend's trying to make a region, and it's like, wow, this is an impossible feat. It's like, Well, yeah, because the people who do it professionally have a team. The people who are, working on this in that way have a team who are getting feedback from one another. And yet, stuff like Barbarical exists, but, go off, King.
Hey, I love Barbarical.
Why? Why do so many of you guys from I know it's Ron. I know where Subject Zero is. Is getting you guys to like Barbarical.
What is Subject Zero? Pacific Northwest?
No, I think you. But because I come in and I'm like, I hate Barbarical, and everyone I talk to who's in the servers that we're in is like, well, I think it's a great Pokemon. I'm like, why? I'm beginning to think that maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, well, I will. Maybe you are already familiar with this, but if you're not, look up a goose barnacle.
Oh, I know. I'm aware. I just don't like his weird hand face.
Yeah. I mean, it is weird. It is ugly. That's what makes it cool.
You're like, oh, you mean the best part?
Yeah.
But yeah, it sounds like there's an inherent value in being able to bounce ideas off of people and being able to do that to build something that truthfully, and as much as I think a lot of creatives hate to admit it, does require a team more often than not.
Yeah. And I mean, in Game Freak, they're going to have the game director, they're going to have the art director, and so those people have more kind of authority over what the designs end up looking like. And probably some of those people are coming up with designs of their own. But most, at least, of the creature designers are getting their work approved by someone else.
Yes.
And so they're given specific parameters. Like, first of all, right? Like, very often, at least, they are given, we need like a fish Pokemon for this environment. Can you do that? And so someone will come up with a fish Pokemon for that environment, and it'll be kind of their design. But someone else is still going to have to look at it and be like, oh, you know what? I think you should change this bit. And so like that's how they evolve and evolve. Not intended.
Again, I wasn't going to say, I caught it. I wasn't going to say anything.
But and probably this is speculation, but probably it's different people who are coming up with like the Pokedex flavor text, right? So there's to expect a single person, especially if you're expecting that of yourself, right? As an artist, to expect of yourself to do all of that work, I think it is. I mean, it's possible because we know that other people have done that in their own like region projects, but I think it's unreasonable.
I agree. I wouldn't have agreed with you until this conversation. I think I would have been very much one of those people who says, yeah, building a region's easy. You just got to make 8 trainers, 8 gym leaders, 4 Elite 4 members or whatever, and then make 100 Pokemon or whatever, and you're good to go. And it's like, no, there is so much that goes into it. You can make 100 Pokemon. That's awesome. Great. Good for you.
Sure.
Do you want to make 100 good Pokemon? Like that's where suddenly this animal changes color. Things become a little bit more evident, and I think that's cool.
Yeah, and if your goal is to create a Pokedex of 100 Pokemon and just kind of, hit the basic requirements of, okay, so we need to have 3 starters, we need to have an early root, normal type rodent, we need to have, like, if you just follow those guidelines, you're probably making a Pokedex, and like individually the designs can be really good, but are you telling a story with the project as a whole?
Yes. Pokemon is a game about capturing little creatures that become your friends, but ultimately it is a story that you are getting to take part in.
Yeah.
And I feel like so many people forget that. So many people disengage with that. I was on my Discord and someone was saying like, oh, I'm trying to make a region, but all the good places to base a region on have been taken. And I think that that's a fair opinion to have, but also the thought is, So then what are you bringing differently to the table? If you're making a Rome-based
Right.
region and you acknowledge like there are a dozen other Rome-based regions, what story elements are you bringing to the table? How are you providing a new twist on this idea that you yourself are acknowledging has been done? You know, that's why I'm excited for, I don't want to give any spoilers, for the new Pokemon game coming out next year. I think people are aware of the name. Are you?
I'm not.
Oh, the trailer just dropped for it the other day. It was just
a new trailer.
It was just here's the names. Like, I think they rushed it out
I haven't.
because the leaks, that huge leak came out and people were like, "Hey, did you know the next game's going to be called this?" And Pokemon was like, "Whatever, here's the names."
Oh, interesting. Yeah, no, I just completely missed that, and like no one on my server is talking about it, so
Well,
I'll have to go look it up.
Am I permitted? Feel free. I don't feel like, well, this is Stern's podcast, so I have to say yes. Or am I permitted to say what the names are to you?
Yeah, I mean, if it's public knowledge,
Yeah.
then I don't like. If it's in a trailer, I don't consider it a spoiler.
Yeah, I believe it's an official trailer. I've seen it enough times that I'm like, I know, and I saw it in the leaks
Okay.
too.
I will take it with a grain of salt
Yeah.
until I go look it up.
Which
but go
was
ahead.
it was Pokemon Winds and Waves, and I thought,
Interesting.
even if that's not real, even if, you know, take it with a grain of salt, but even if it's not real, the idea that immediately jumped into my head was like an ocean-based island hopping style adventure, kind of like we saw in Alola, but more about being on the water, being on and I thought that is such a cool concept. That's such a cool idea. I don't know anything about the Pokemon there. I don't know anything about the trainers or the gym leaders or the story, but just that base concept that I like assume in my head, I'm like, that is really cool. That sounds like a fun Pokemon game. Again, knowing nothing about anything else other than just the names and what could potentially be the idea or the plot based on my limited understanding, I thought that sounds like a ton of fun.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something people skip over.
having only heard the names.
Yeah.
Having only heard the names, my mind immediately went to Wind Waker, which was the game that got me into Zelda. So I'm already sold.
And it's coveted sequel, Wave Waker. So we have both. But it's. I think that is a fundamental place to start. Is what gets you. If you're coming in to design a region, like say you're working on your region, Uloima.
Yes. Yeah, I guess I haven't said
No,
the
you're fine.
name of the region. It's the Uloima Democratic Federation.
Yes, but say you started that, and you said, okay, I'm going to start this region. I'm going to design Pokemon. You have no context on where to start, right? But if you come in and say, I know what my story is, I know what story I want to tell, kind of like D&D, like you were referencing. I know what story I want to tell. That informs so much of the direction,
For sure.
right?
And this is maybe a little bit of soapboxing, but also advice for people who want to come up with their own regions. Make them geographically small. Like, lately the official regions have gone bigger and bigger, but they're also like more and more like relying on existing Pokemon, and so the burden of coming up with enough Pokemon to like accurately represent an entire country is a little bit lessened. But like, Pokemon began with the Kanto region. Like there are 4 Pokemon regions that are just in Japan, and they don't even encompass all of Japan. It is, I think, unreasonable even for Game Freak to make to make one region for the entire Iberian Peninsula. Like, you could do one that is Portugal.
Yep.
You could do one that is like Basque Country.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people, you know, it becomes the idea of, I want to prove that I can make 200 Pokemon. Then do it. Prove it. That's fine. That's great. But creating a system
yeah.
where you're sacrificing so many other things, I think doesn't prove your point.
Yeah, I mean, we had 135 new Pokemon, if I remember correctly, in Hoenn. And again, Hoenn is just one island of Japan, right? So it's, I think the more geographically confined you make your scope, the easier it is for you to come up with Pokemon designs that are actually that actually feel like they belong there.
Yeah. Like, I had to admit to myself recently, because I've always said like, I'm a Gen 3 and 4 enjoyer because I'm an old man and I'm the old guard who's here from the old days, and I was going over like, oh, you know what sounds really cool in a Pokemon game, what I really enjoyed in games was this, and I really liked these designs. I feel like they captured the place specifically, and I had to admit to myself, oh my god, I'm a Galar fan. Which I think is okay. I think Galar was a great region. But you look at it and people say like, oh, that was a huge, massive undertaking. Really, it's like, no, that most of the land that you explore is like wild land or like the free roam area, but the story itself is very small with these huge and like by magnitude huge situations and circumstances, but the story itself and the map itself outside of the wildlands is very small, and it's beautiful. We had the same thing with Alola, where it was very small and people complained about it, but in my mind those are some of the best modern games. Do you disagree? Do you agree? Are you like, oh well, I think Galar was trash? Is that where we're at?
No, I don't think Galar was trash at all, but I do feel that it's, I think the overall trend of Pokemon games on the Switch has been downward.
Oh, yes. I will 100% agree with that.
And so I actually really like Alola, especially Sun and Moon. Mm-hmm. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are really good as well, but they are less good in the context of coming after Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
So it's it's a little iffy.
It's
there,
derivative. But that's fine. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. But I loved Let's Go for what it was. It was a remake, kind of reimagining. I thought that one was an almost perfect game for what it was trying to be. Not necessarily for like what I want out of a game, but for what they set out to do. I feel like they pretty much accomplished. Everything after that, I feel like they set out to do more than they were able to do successfully. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, like, yes, I did enjoy a lot of things about Sword and Shield. There were also a lot of things where I felt it came up short. Like you were saying, like the cities and the towns, they were like a relatively small part of Galar.
Yes.
And I actually think that's a weakness, because the cities and the towns are where the life of Galar is, and the wild areas are enormous and empty, and they don't add enough to the game to me. Like, I would have been happy if you just replaced the wild areas with like a normal like handcrafted kind of route.
Yeah, I agree. Like like I said, I love it. I think the Pokemon fit the region very well. I think the trainers are very interesting.
Yes.
I think the storyline itself is really cool. I've come to really like Gigantamax designs. I could not tell you the name of a single city outside of like Motostoke. And even that, like, I'm fairly certain
to think about it. Yeah,
right. It's one of those things where it's like I like it in concept. I like the background stuff that allows it to feel like its own world or its own space. But yeah, those things like the cities, those things like the towns that are, like you said, they're meant to be the life of this region. Mm-hmm. Very, very, very small part of the game. I think I finished the game, and then I played for another like probably month just in the wild areas, because I was like, there's nothing else. I don't care about anything else other than what's going on here. And I feel like that was kind of purposefully accidental by Game Freak. Was, the towns are just meant to get the story through. Here's town 1, town 2, town 3, town 4, da-da-da-da-da, you got it. Now explore this wild area. Tons of fun. Really cool setup, really cool mechanics and gimmicks. But yeah, the story itself doesn't stand very well. And I know people have even complained about, the idea of like, here's the legendary. It's this great beast that will put an end to all the evil doings. Here you go. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, what? Like, you know, I'm 10.
Okay, I feel like I need to, because I said that the Switch games have been on a downward trend, but I do want to say that I feel like character writing, character designs, and dialogue writing have all actually been improving. It's more like gameplay and plot, like especially plot, that I feel like has just not satisfied me.
Do you think that's because Pokemon, because I feel this, and I don't know if other people feel it, I've never actually brought it up before. Do you think it's because Pokemon is kind of pulling away from their formulaic system? Because I know before it was, here's your 8 gyms, they're in 8 towns, now go to the Elite Four, there you go. Here's an old man, he's going to teach you how to throw a Pokeball. We know you already know how, but we're going to make you learn it anyway,
right.
Type of stuff. And I feel like they've been trying to move away from that system, and I feel like it's been detrimental. The characters within those systems, I agree 100%, are so much better, and the dialogue is so much better, but the driving force that moves you through the story has gotten weaker.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because I encourage them. I am happy that they are going away from the formula. I don't think that from a gameplay experience, like being formulaic is not at least what I'm looking for. It might be what other people are looking for, but not me. I'm happy to try completely new things with every Pokemon game. But like it could be that because they are going away from that formula, that they're doing more things that they're, I guess, like uncomfortable with. And so, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like the stories are the message that I'm getting from the story just doesn't match with my conception of the Pokemon world anymore. And so, like, maybe if they were sticking to the formula, it would all kind of feel like it fits together more. I don't know. But there used to be a lot of, I guess to a degree there still is, but a lot of just like, you really got the sense that the Pokemon world was a real world. And what I think is that it's because they've like gone to the Switch, and so now they have to worry about like visual fidelity. They have to worry about performance. So like they have other priorities that they didn't necessarily have to worry about on handheld systems. So it's kind of like drawn their attention elsewhere. But yeah, it feels like the things that they excel at, they aren't they used to excel at, that they aren't excelling at anymore. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, no, something has been lost, and I wish that it was as simple as saying, "Hey, just do this." But I don't know. It's like it feels to me like when you move out and you try to make that dish that mom used to make all the time, and you're like, something's missing. What am I forgetting here? And mom's like, it was love. I'm like, no, that's not it. I've put as much depression as I can into it, and I feel like those are pretty complementary to one another. It's different. Like I was talking, it makes me think I was talking to my wife, and my wife is a fantastic cook. She makes everything from scratch, and she asked, because I work from home. She goes, is there anything that I can get you, that you can make yourself to kind of like for lunch or whatever? And I said, I love you. Everything you make is so wonderful and amazing and beautiful, and I want to eat it every day until the day I die. If you could just get me a box of Hamburger Helper, I would be more than happy. If you can get me something that takes 45 seconds to cook, I would be happy, because that's what I grew up with. And I feel like in a lot of ways that's kind of what I'm trying to get out of the Pokemon games now, is they're like, did you see the huge open world mechanic and how interesting these characters are and all these fun little gimmicks that you can do where you can make a campsite and cook for your Pokemon? I'm like, if you could just give me a $1.12 box of Hamburger Helper sometimes. That would be lovely. That would be wonderful. I don't know. I now I feel like I'm rambling. But I'm hoping that makes sense.
I totally agree. I think, I think what's missing is it might come from the games, but what's really missing is actually in me. It's like the feeling that I get from the games, the experience of playing. That's what's not reaching my expectations anymore. And I mean, maybe if I was playing this exact game, Pokemon Legends ZA, if I was playing that as a 10-year-old, maybe I would love it as much as I loved playing Pokemon Yellow. But right now, I don't love it as much as I loved Pokemon Yellow.
No. And I think that's probably why you're saying, like, oh, Eevee and Pikachu, Pokemon Let's Go was so much fun. It was kind of a re-examination of those early games where the Pokemon Company was like, hey, the gimmick here is that it feels like early Pokemon games. And it's like, you use the phrase, it's good for what it was. Because what it wasn't something brand new and flashy and shiny, but it was still good because it was drawing on those feelings and emotions that you got in the early games. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I think so, yeah. And I think like most of the things that were like, okay, like that's not necessarily for me. There was a lot of like the catching mechanics that were adapted from Pokemon Go, and I don't know. I enjoyed it at the time. I don't know if it was necessarily like the best choice for the game as like a standalone thing, but it wasn't a standalone thing, right? It was meant to bring Pokemon Go players into the fold of the main series games, and so I think it was the right choice, whether or not it made for the best gameplay for me.
Well, I have to say, like, one of my favorite little meme things, but it's like a meme, but it's so real, is like the whole idea of like looking at older Pokemon games where it's like, again, old man who's like, this is how you catch a Pokemon. You battle them till they're weak, and then you can throw a Pokeball at it. And look at that. Now you got a Growlithe to be your friend. Or it's like Pokemon games now, and it was like Pokemon Legends Arceus, where it was like, we're gonna go fight that bear and see if it wants to be my friend after. And like, I'm like, that is such a fun little gimmick, but it's like, it can only get you so far on those things. Something that I want to ask you about, because we're talking a lot about like the thought process and concepts that go into design and creating games and things like that, is you very clearly put a lot of thought and effort and ideas into your videos, into your projects, which is why I'm so excited about what's coming up with the Ulloima Democrat.
Ulloima, yeah.
If I were to say it, I would get it right. The problem is I'm reading it to make sure I get it right, and that's screwing me up. But when you work on your project like this, there's clearly so much thought that goes into it. And like, I just finished rewatching your Lysander Feels So 2025 video, which I love so much.
Thank you.
There's so much thought and energy that goes into that, even outside of your spectacular editing. When you're coming up with that video and you're researching and diving in, because it's very clear that you research and you make sure that you have this stuff in your back pocket, this knowledge in your back pocket. How does that start for you when like you made that video, Lysander Feels So 2025? What was the starting point for you of like, I'm going to dig in and research? Because it can feel daunting sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think it was just like a conversation that I was having on my community server. And I don't even remember if it was me or if it was someone else that did like an offhand comparison between Lysander and Elon Musk. And I was like, shit, now I have to go do that video.
You're like, tell me more. Go on, tell me more.
It was just like, it was an offhand comment, and like, I don't know if it was mine or someone else's, but it just felt so right. And so like, okay, now I have to figure out why. And so the first step that I did, it was both me and my wife, we played Pokemon X and Y. We played it at the same time, so like we each played one. Because I feel like there's this big like conception, I guess, a misconception in the Pokemon community that Lysander is a lot less bad in Pokemon X than in Pokemon Y. And so I wanted to I wanted to have both me and Indigo experiencing the games at the same time so that we could actually compare every line of dialogue to see if it was really that different and be able to say, you know, the Lysander of this version was more like this. The Lysander of this version had these different ideals. There's like 2 lines that are different. The Lysander in Pokemon X is just as genocidal as Lysander in Pokemon Y.
Interesting.
But yeah, so it was, yeah, it was just a process of like, okay, this idea feels right, so let me figure out why that feels right. And I like in part I had to, you know, relive Lysander's story to really like get as much out of it as I could.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you have to look at it and think to yourself, like, is there any possible way that I can see this guy as the hero? Which I'm sure is painful at certain points.
Yeah, and there's not.
No, there's not. What I've learned is there isn't.
No, I think... Okay, are we okay to talk a bit about spoilers for Pokemon Legends ZA in this?
Since you said that sentence right now, yes.
Okay.
So that now people know what's coming up right now. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's been like a month.
Okay, yeah, it is kind of end game stuff. So we have Lysander comes back, right? Mm-hmm. And that already put me on edge, having just made that video. Mm-hmm. And then seeing that face again, I was like, uh-oh. And not uh-oh as in like, oh no, Lysander is back and he's going to do bad things. But like, uh-oh, this game is not going to say the things that I wanted to say. Mm.
Okay.
We discover, I think in the very last scene of the main story, the one that happens after you do 15 prize matches and you get to... meet with Zygarde at the very end when you get the opportunity to battle it and catch it. I think it's in that scene that Lysander says that it was Zygarde who saved him. Or at least in that scene he explains why.
Right.
And
that troubled you.
That troubled me very much, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are talking about the balanced Pokemon saving a genocidal maniac. It makes no sense.
No, I agree.
What Pokemon is saying by doing that, at least the way that I read it, is that we have to see both sides. And I mean, this is also the message that X and Y end on, because that's what Callum or Serena say to you in the
in like the epilogue type area.
In the Victory Road.
Yeah.
It's like your final meeting with them before the Elite Four. That is also what they say. But I think it is obvious in the world of 2025 that we can't do that.
Right. Well, it makes me think of
if one of the sides is trying to kill everyone, you cannot meet halfway.
Right. Well, I think it almost is like the message. Like when I hear it, my thought is like, oh, are they saying like evil has to exist in the world? Which, I mean, sure, but like not to the extent of like genocide. Like if that's the case, that one side is very clearly coming out. It makes me think of that whole that theory. Are you a Star Wars person?
I have seen all of the Star Wars movies, and I've seen Andor. That's about it.
So there's this theory in Star Wars, which, you know, it's like the whole thing of Anakin who becomes who becomes Darth Vader.
Is that spoilers for like a 20-year-old movie?
Listen, I don't want to, you know. But there's the whole thing where it says, oh, you're supposed to bring balance to the Force, right? Like that's his whole deal. And the theory is he does. because if you, in the prequels, which are canon, it's like, oh, well, the Jedi pretty much run, they're like the advisors to the government of the galaxy, and the Sith are only ever two in hiding. And at the end of episode 6, it's like, okay, well, now there's only 2 Jedi, or there's only a handful of Jedi left, as far as they understand at the end of that movie, because they've all been wiped out. And it's like, so then there's 2 Jedi and 2 Sith, and they say, yeah, Anakin failed. It's like, that sounds an awful lot like balance to the Force. Like, the Force is this amorphous thing that it's like, oh, well, it's all forces of good. It's like, well, it's the force of balance. And what it did in that instance was use him to bring balance by ultimately toppling the good guys. It's like, what about the government? It's like, the Force doesn't care about the government. Force is between good and evil. And, and it's like, okay, well, now there's 2 Sith, 2 Jedi, whatever. And it makes me think of that, where it's like Zygarde saved me. And it's the question of like, cool, why? Wouldn't balance be removing you from the equation? And it's like, the way that I see it is, that would be good if he was removed from the equation.
Yeah, and it's not even Zygarde removing Lysander from the equation, right? It's Zygarde allowing Lysander's hubris, Lysander's own actions, to get himself out of the equation.
Yeah, I don't have to kill you, I just don't have to save you, like type of setup.
Exactly.
But it's like, the way that I saw it was that, and it's a terrible message. It's a terrible way to see it. But in my logistical mind of it, it's kind of I can accept this so long as I can also accept that it changes everything that I understand about the Pokemon universe. Which is, in the Pokemon universe, like, it's a story for heroes. It's a story of light and vibrance and bringing that to the people around you. Like they say, the main design of Pokemon is they should feel like your friends. It's meant to be this fun adventure for kids, and it's meant to be this bright and shining thing. And that changes if you accept the idea of balance in the way of evil must exist for good to exist in that setup. I don't agree with it, but it's like, again, in my logistical mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if this is ultimate balance, then sure. If we're acknowledging that Zygarde isn't a being of good or evil, but of perfect balance, kind of like Thanos, where it's like, all things are now balanced, as terrible as that is for the universe, it's like, sure, I can accept that so long as you can accept you have changed everything that I understand about Pokemon for the worse.
Yeah.
Am I evil? Is that what I'm learning right now?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think you're evil. But like, yeah, so I just to kind of add another point to my general dissatisfaction with the message that I was getting from ZA. So not only does the balanced Pokemon save the genocidal maniac, but part of the main story, like an unavoidable part, is that a loan shark forces you to use your like physical strength, right? Like the strength of your Pokemon to dispel a protest against a real estate company that is making their lives worse.
Right.
And then Tawny or Urbane is like, so did those protesters have a point? And the two people from the real estate company look at each other, wink. Of course they were wrong. And that's all you get. Like that like meaningful nod that they do to each other is the only bit of like, maybe there's something,
maybe there's hope
else here.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like that whole like, what if maybe the bad guy had a point? But you're trying to flip it and be like, hey, real estate agents who are essentially landlords of this entire place and loan sharking to the world. What if maybe the guys who seemed like the good guys were the good guys? It's like, that's not a twist. That's not a sudden revelation. for the audience at least, right? That's like the audience. Like I don't know, when I played, I'm on the side of the protesters. I'm on the side of the people who are like,
exactly,
hey, and they're trying to like put it out as this twist of like, maybe they were right. Of course they were right. like, hey, audience, have you thought about this? The entire time I was playing, yes.
yeah. And this is like to not even bring up the point that, you know, at least in one way of looking at things, both the player character and Tawny are homeless kids.
I mean, in the world of Pokemon, everyone at 10 years old is homeless. Did you not watch the
Well,
ad?
not really.
Yeah, it's like I could go, like Ash is like, I could go home. I have a home. I'm just choosing to sleep outside every day with this rat that I was given by an old man.
Yes, but that is not the case.
Yeah.
That might be the case for the player because the player literally has no background, and so we don't. Apparently, we go to a city where we're the kind of person who goes to a city without having anyone to meet, anywhere to stay, or anything in your bag. But so, like for the player, who knows what the point was? But
you need to buy a change of clothes.
Tawny lives in a hotel because they lost their mom.
Yeah.
And doesn't have anyone else. Is in the city looking for someone to connect with. Lita lives in the hotel because I think she was living with a roommate, and then the roommate moves out and she can no longer afford rent on her own, so she's forced to live in a hotel. Naveen lives in a hotel because he was kicked out of his house because his grandmother wouldn't accept him being a fashion designer. These are homeless kids.
Is Pokemon Legends ZA just rent in the Pokemon world?
Yes.
Hi, we live here. We're homeless. We're trying to just get our way through the world in this, like, what is essentially a hovel. And, like, these real estate developers are coming. We want to turn everything into what we see fit. And it's like, well, we're artists and creators, and we want to... This is just rent. This is just the play Rent.
and the game doesn't really talk about like the circumstances of why these kids are in these situations. It kind of just takes these kids are in this situation, and separately there's this plot going on.
Right. Yeah. And you know, you have to save the world. It's like, hey, I don't know if you know this. I have been wearing the same outfit until I bought new clothes. You gave me Pokeballs. I'm staying like that bag that we chased down so I could get my Totodile or whatever is empty. I own nothing. And you're like, yeah, but these real estate developers are coming. It's like, that is terrible. I acknowledge that. I am homeless. I have self-care problems that need to be addressed for a quick moment. It's like my thing where I always bring up in my lives, I'm like, I don't think the Pokemon professors do anything. I don't think that they're real, because they're like, I have been studying Pokemon my entire life. Got it. Can you go learn everything about every Pokemon for me and put it in this? It's like, didn't you just say that you've been studying whatever phenomenon is in the region for years? Yep. And you're like, 10-year-old kid. I have several 10-year-old children under my command who I need to go learn about these Pokemon because I keep telling people that I know about them, and like whispers to the kid, I don't know jack about these Pokemon or what's going on here. I need you to go find out stuff, because I got auditors coming in a week, so you got to do this. If you could fight a legendary or something too, that'd be awesome. But you know, much appreciated. Yeah,
there's definitely a bit of dissonance between the lore and the world building and the gameplay. Yeah. That's always, and like some of that has always been there. Yeah.
It'd be better if he was like, here's a Pokédex. It's full of all the information about every Pokemon. It's like, then what do you need me for? Buddy, I'm a researcher. You think I came in here unprepared?
Yeah. I mean, I think it could just be even like framed differently. That is, and this is actually how I do it in my videos, to bring it back.
Yeah.
Is that like this information exists, it's like when you take a photo of this Pokemon, that's when you register it, and then you can see all of the information, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's an image search,
Right.
Rather than like I am collecting all of this data and writing it down myself. Which, by the way, was the best thing about Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Yes.
That you are like literally doing that research.
Right. Wouldn't it be cool if you
But
could
of
go
course-
out and find the info about the Pokemon? It's like, what have I been doing the past 15 to 20 years? Like,
Yeah, like so like there the gameplay and the lore were actually like working together. But when it comes to like Professor Oak, Professor Elm, whoever, like it doesn't mesh quite as well. So my idea is that you simply like take a photo and then all of the information about that Pokemon kind of loads for you, and it kind of marks it off as almost like a scavenger hunt of like I have seen this creature, check it off. Right?
yeah. Well, it feels like it's a lot better way of looking at it than like my version where it's like, okay, say the professors do know what they're doing. They're just giving you like a Leap Pad learner and they're like, here you go learn about the Pokemon. And it's like, don't you have this data? This is for you to learn. It's like, I'd love to know about that Pokemon so I can do my best in battle with it. You haven't unlocked that information yet. You need to fit it. Like, it's almost like, do this puzzle. And it's like, the puzzle is watch my pet die. The puzzle is watch the little French frog that you gave me get absolutely pummeled because I don't know that what I'm facing against is an electric type. I love it. I think I'm so glad that someone else sees the inconsistencies in this world like I do. And I'm also glad that you're able to kind of see and help people as they listen to this understand the framework. Again, bad word. The skeleton. The framework skeleton, whatever. Understand that of, hey, building something that you're hoping is going to be beautiful starts with so much more than just nailing two pieces of wood together and saying, I'm starting on this house now. There's blueprints, there's design, there's research, there's stuff that goes into the back end, which, you know, if I assume that you and I are the same on this, we were the kids who loved writing essays in school.
Yeah.
Did you hate it?
Actually, yeah. No, I mean, obviously, like, depends on the topic, right? But, like, in terms of, I definitely enjoyed doing a dissertation on a topic, broadly speaking.
Yeah, like, hey, you write 300 words about whatever you want. It's like, can I give you more? Is 300 the limit? But, yeah, I think that's the case, is, like, there is some research that goes into it. Like, I've told people before, like, you know, I used to work for the government, and now I do Pokemon videos. This is the hardest job I've ever had, which is weird to say. But that being said, I want to ask you one final question, which I ask every single time.
Yeah, it's not weird to me that being successful on YouTube is a lot of work, and that's why I don't do it.
I do want to ask one final question here, and I think that it kind of wraps up that whole idea in a bow. Hopefully. Every time that we do these, I have one question, which is someone looks at you, looks at your channel, looks at what you're doing, and says, I want to be that. That is what I'm striving for. What words of encouragement would you give them to help them fulfill that desire and that want upon seeing you as kind of the goalpost that they want to achieve? Now, there is a rule to this. While we were talking, I did roll a digital D20. And the number that it rolls is the number of words that you're allowed to get that creed out in. You did roll, I will say very well, you rolled a 9. You play D&D, so I say that sounds good. You understand that that's failing most of the time. So
Yeah.
you rolled a 9.
Below average.
Which is a lot, you rolled a 9, which is a lot of words to be able to get it out. But in the D&D mind, you're like 9 out of 20. You have 9 words to get that out, and then we can explain further. But kind of your put this on a poster, hang it on your mirror. If your goal is to get to where Libris is, that's it. So what do we got?
Okay, I think I can give you exactly 9 words.
Okay.
I don't need 9 words. Don't look at numbers. That's 9 words.
That is 9 words. Oh my god. I was like, yeah, I forgot completely. I was like, that sounds really good. That sounds great. Oh, and it's 9 words. Yeah. Explain, like you said. I think I understand where you're at with it, but I want to hear to ensure that I get it right. I don't need 9 words. Don't look at numbers.
Yeah. So, if someone is looking at my channel and thinking that they want to, be like me, the important thing to know is that I have been doing this for 7.5 years, and I have like 12,000 subscribers. I was actually just looking at this earlier today. My net subscriber change for the past 90 days is -7.
You don't sound.
My channel is not growing.
I'll say you don't sound crazy upset about that.
I'm not crazy. I'm a little bit disappointed, I guess,
Okay.
because it's like I want my videos to reach people, So yes, I care to some degree about the numbers. I care a bit about the views. And back when I was more active, my like minimum of being like satisfied with the performance of a video was 500 views. A good video was 2,000 views or more. My Lysander video has just over 1,500. Like, at this point, I do not have anywhere close to the success that I used to. Even some of my videos this year, I don't think have reached 500 views as the bare minimum. But that's, as much as I want to reach more people, that is okay for 2 reasons. One is that I'm not doing this as a job. I'm doing this because I enjoy talking about these topics, and I enjoy having the kind of conversations that come out of it. And I enjoy doing the research as well. So, like, I'm doing this much more for process than for results, right?
Right. And you have to.
And the other reason... Oh, yeah,
I would
go
say you
ahead.
have to enjoy the process in order to do anything, right?
Yeah, but... And I mean, I try to be satisfied with the product for myself, right? But, like, I don't need the world... I don't need it to go viral. I don't need the whole world to see it. Because my satisfaction comes from the kind of learning process of, coming up with the ideas. Like I said, I'm an ideas guy.
Yeah.
And the other reason that I'm also like okay with it is that having a bigger audience is a bigger burden on your mental health, right? The more people see your stuff, the more people will be criticizing you. And it doesn't really matter how resilient you are to criticism. Doesn't matter how quick your ban button is, right? My favorite thing on YouTube is being able to hide a person so that their comments don't show up on your channel, but you don't know that you did that. Like, there's probably some people who are posting angry rants on all of my videos, but I don't have to see them. It's great.
I don't have to see him. It's great. I love that little
like
phrase.
They can they can get the satisfaction of like writing a big angry rant or whatever. I don't have to know about it. But yeah, so like my channel being smaller does mean that I have less of this of this spotlight on me, of this like constant scrutiny. Yeah, scrutiny. And so if you don't look at the numbers, to go back to that, if you don't look at the numbers, you will feel better about yourself.
Well, I feel like too the weight of that stuff, the weight of how that affects people, is so disproportionate. Because if I looked at my numbers and said like I lost let's say half that. Let's say I lost 3.5 subscribers. I don't know how that would happen, how that works. Half a subscriber. This person is subscribed, but very much not interested. If I could see that number and it's like, hey, just a heads up, you lost 3, I would probably have a little bit of a meltdown. I'd be like, what am I doing wrong? How am I screwing up? What's the issue here? How's that? It's so disproportionate. And I've talked to other people on other podcasts with this before, and it's like that YouTube Studios app is a hell of a drug. It can be such a nightmare because you can have a video that takes off, that does go viral and makes numbers, and in your mind you're like, oh, nice. But then you have something that underperforms slightly, and it's like, what am I doing wrong? Should I restructure the channel? Should I change everything? Should I, X, Y, Z? And all of that is, I mean, you can't see it. I'm pointing at my head. All of that's in here. All of that's in the brain, and because you looked at a number, when in reality you're forgetting to ask yourself, am I having a good time? Am I enjoying what I'm putting out? Am I, you get it. It's that idea, and it's so disproportionate. It's so it's unfair the way that the numbers can affect people, and the numbers can affect us so drastically, unless you choose to say, I'm not going to let this affect me.
Yeah, and
which is incredibly easy to do.
And if I may say a little bit more about my project now, so 4 years ago, I said that I would not do a region project, and there were all these reasons that I said I wouldn't do it, and I actually stand by all of them, except that now I have a reason to do it. Like the practical reasons that I didn't do it back then, they're all still there. I still have, roughly the same audience size. I still don't make any money, net. I don't make any money on my channel. Getting one video edited is more than I make in a month. And so all of those things are still there, but now I have a personal reason. I have the motivation to do it, and I have an objective. I'm doing it now because now I can see that. Now I can see what the value of the process of it is going to be for me. So even if the videos themselves only get 500 views, 1,000 views, that's okay, because what I'm getting out of it, I already got. I would love it if more people see it, because then hopefully they can get something out of it as well. But I'm not going to get more out of it just because I have an extra digit in my view count.
Right, just because number go up, just because, just because the confetti flew on that statistic of, is your 1 in 10 video. Or 1 in 10.
Oh yeah, I mean that confetti is amazing. I haven't gotten it in literal years.
It does so much, and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
That's how I always post. I post when it happens, and I go, sweet dopamine. It's been so long. I appreciate those words, because I think it is something that, that the audience needs to hear. But I know that I need to hear it from time to time too. More often than it's said, but I think we need to hear that too. Is the numbers? I don't need 5 words. Don't look at the numbers. It's it's a beautiful thing, and it's so hard, because I feel like that's what so much of the audience looks for. Is like, hey, how do I become that's the question, right? How do I become like you? How do I get the number of subscribers, the number of viewers, and the number of XYZ that you have? How do I get there? And it's like, by stopping focusing on that number as a goal. I stop utilizing that as a defining feature, which makes me rethink that final question so much that I ask so many people. Is they look, how do I get to be where you are? Stop trying to do that, and it feels like that's a common. It's spoken in different ways, and it means different things every time that it's said. But it feels like that is the underlying message throughout all of these interviews is like, hey, if I'm looking at your channel, how do I get to be that? I think Toxiquid put it best. His was kind of, I don't need however many words he has. He said, don't.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it, isn't it? It's don't look at the numbers. It's all of the messages that have been brought up in these podcasts at the end like that. They all have that underlying factor of, almost as rudely as I can put it, because no one's going to ask me the question, is stop caring so much. I don't know. Maybe that's terrible to say.
I mean, stop. No, I think, like, stop caring about the numbers. You should care about what you're doing, right? Because if you don't have the passion into what you're doing, then the quality isn't going to be there. But as long as, I mean, I think it's a little different if you're trying to do it as a job, right? Because then your income depends on it.
For sure.
And so you need to worry about the numbers to a degree there. But if you just look at these people that you admire and you see, you know, how great their sub count is, usually at least, what gets people to become big in the first place is just that they're doing something that they like, and so they're doing it well.
Oh, absolutely. Well, like I said, your editing is phenomenal. It's something that I went to school for video editing, and I am so jealous of seeing, like, I was watching to kind of prep your Lysander Feel So 2025 and watching just the words fly in, which I'm sure is something, you know, it's there and it's pretty, but I
mean, yeah, that video was edited with someone else. Someone else did, 'cause, you know, the first segment of that video, the like game show, that was done by someone else. I had my hand in it, of course, because I'm too like particular about the details to not do any of it. But that was one that I was like, I need to go focus on my Uloima region project, so I'm going to pay way too much out of my budget, not way too much like overpriced editor. No, my editor was great, but I needed the time to focus on something else.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I mean that's still, I still appreciate that, because the quality of the editing is something that I care about, in the sense that like I want to, so that when I watch the video, that I feel that it looks good, and that it's, you know, similar or at least approximates the quality of other people's videos that I like to watch.
Well, yeah.
And
like,
so that's
like, I saw my YouTube Wrapped, and I made the joke. I was like, am I an asshole that I'm one of my top 5 most watched channels? But also, it's kind of nice to be like, I'm a fan of my own content. You know, and to keep that in mind and to know that. But, Libris, I want to say, my last question for you isn't a question. It's a statement. And I hope that's okay. You are a wonderful human being, a talented creator, and I would say this whether there were an audience listening or not, because I firmly believe it, and I hope that you get all of the praise that you are well deserved to receive. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for talking to me. And
my last question to you is thank you.
Man, we are bad at this. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'll have all of your stuff.
This was a lot of fun.
Where people can find you. I hope that it's fun. I'm glad to hear that it is, because I have a great time regardless. And
I hope some people who are watching this came from my channel, and so if you did, hello, and make sure to follow Stern if you're not already, because the videos are so much fun. There's so many of them. I cannot keep up.
I do 3 videos a week, and usually a live. And I have people every now and then who are like, hey, where are the pictures from the live? I was like, I'm sorry. I immediately fell asleep upon turning off the camera. But You know, yeah, I hope you're allowed to say the opposite as well. I hope that people who are watching this from my channel go and find Libris because his stuff is phenomenal. His stuff is amazing. I'll say this, I don't watch a ton of Fakemon artists. You know, that's my conceit to you guys. I'm too busy working. Libris is one of the channels that I do watch because the content is
thank you.
great. Oh, you don't have to thank me. It's 100% true. And yeah, I'll put your stuff down below where people can find you. And again, thank you so much. So there they are, a very talented individual and a person who I hope you were able to draw some inspiration from for your own region. You can find Libris' stuff down below where I'll have it linked in the description. You can also find opportunities to support this channel there as well, like our Patreon and YouTube members. Those people's names are coming up on screen right now. I really hope that you guys enjoy these stern conversations because I really like doing them. I love getting to talk and communicate with these talented creators who I've spent a lot of time looking up to, and maybe you do too. If you really appreciate these conversations, let me know down below by liking, commenting, subscribing, doing that fun stuff that makes me and YouTube happy, but more importantly, making sure to find us over at Spotify. I try to drop these videos to Spotify early, so if you're watching this on YouTube, just know Spotify actually got it first. I hope you guys can find us there. I hope you become regular listeners, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.